Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs. We are at Le Mans and we are glad to see you back here at the Bugatti Circus. Welcome to the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. It's the penultimate round. It's the crunch time in this championship. We are really excited ahead of this weekend. 6 live events starting with the qualifying and Super Bowl right now. This is the Grandstand here in Le Mans. What a spectacular view this is. We are so excited to see all the fans back in the fan village, and we're excited to see our commentator. This is what he looks like in person. This is Chaz Draycott. We need to be very careful here up the stairs. Let's have a seat. I think that's more secure for us right now. I will step in here. It's seat number 64. We will take number 63. Wow, this is the Grandstand. I mean, it's just so amazing to be back here, isn't it?
It's an amazing circuit, you know. It's one of the many legendary tracks that we get to go to on our calendar, and we're very, very special in terms of how many great circuits we can visit based on the racing we do. Because, you know, trucks can be a bit of a difficult thing to accommodate at a racing circuit. And to come to a place like this, especially on the Bugatti circuit that not many people know about, it's just awesome. But this is probably the steepest grandstand I've ever sat in my life. You get vertigo off this place. It's quite crazy.
Thanks for saying that, because I'm a bit afraid of heights and it totally kicks in. So this circuit reminds me of Wings every time if I see the track layout. And you are a fan of the great Chicane, of course. So imagine 5-ton trucks entering this Chicane. It does not seem so easy.
No, and this was a circuit that's mainly used for motorbike racing. So it's not made for humongous machines, you know. It's made for possibly some of the smallest racing machines, and to have so many of them side by side. But even around here, our trucks can prove to everybody that the racing can be amazing. You know, it can be so close. We've had a lot of contact, but that's just truck racing in general. You know, it's been such a great circuit to visit in the last couple of years, and I'm delighted to finally be here. It's a childhood dream to come to Le Mans, and I know that a lot of the drivers still see it like that as well. You know, they absolutely adore this place, and I mean, next year is going to be a big year for this circuit. It's the 100th running of the 24-hour race, and I think that to come here ahead of that and just sort of prep ourselves for another year of potentially coming back, it's amazing.
And right now it's 24 heures de camion, so we are going to see spectacular racing this weekend, and we are going to see the local hero, of course, Theo Calvé, and also we do remember Antoniak still missing. We do salute the family and our condolences. Still, he's really, really such a fine guy. We do miss him in the paddock. But Theo Calvé is the local hero right now. He's competing in the Promoters' Cup. You've got the 3 people around there. It's, of course, Shane Brereton, of course, Jamie Anderson. And they had a little, you always call it like the Archie-Barchie or like Clumsy, I don't know. But we're going to see some really nice action between those 3.
Yeah, definitely. They're all fired up after the last time out. And, you know, I've been around Shane's team and Jamie's team and Theo's team all weekend so far, and they're all still fine with each other. You know, they're all giving each other handshakes, having a good laugh and a chat. I was speaking to Fabien Calvé, Theo's dad, yesterday, and he's so full of passion when he comes here. I mean, he's a very passionate bloke anyway, but he was so up for it this weekend, and I can't wait to see how Theo gets on. There's a little bit of pressure with it being on home soil, as he's mentioned, but at the end of the day, you can expect that. You know, there's a lot of French fans here, and he can really prove himself here this weekend, and he's already at the top of the Promoters' Cup, so he can try and extend that lead. But I think Jamie and Shane, being just over the pond, I think they're going to want to try and prove something as well.
Absolutely. So we got the championship in between the championship, of course, the group championship, the team championship as well, and also the Goodyear FIA ETRC. Norbert Kirsch is in the lead with 68 points. And I'm wondering, because he's always going full speed, but this time he needs to get his Baloo, how he calls his MAN truck, in one piece over start-finish line. So but I expect him right now taking the best he can out of this qualifying, getting there from P1, of course. What do you think?
Yeah, he's made himself very, very... I can't even think of the right words to say, really, but it's just there's not enough superlatives to explain how good Norbert Kirsch has been this season. I always look back to 2015 when he won the second time out, and he just dominated the championship, and it was unbelievable. And he's doing the same again this year, but he's made the job a lot easier for himself at this point. You know, he's only got 2 race meetings left with 8 races in between all of them. And he doesn't need to be as full on as he has been earlier in the season. You know, he set himself up for a good finale. I think to take it to tomorrow, Jochen Hahn only has to score 8 points today. No matter what Norby can do, as long as Jochen scores 8 points, the championship will definitely carry on until tomorrow. But for any of them to stop him after tomorrow, if he does his normal thing of winning races 1 and 3, he's going to be impossible to beat.
Absolutely, but you never know. So Norbert Kiss took 12 victories this season and 10 times taken home the 20 points. So it's always race number one, which is very, very important for him. Let's talk about Jochen Hahn, 6-time champion. He's competing very, very well. And I surely think he evolved throughout the season. He was not so very happy with his performance, and maybe not the truck's performance at the start of the season. But you can see right now they're really a secure team right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when I started commentating on the championship at the start of last year, I knew what Jochen was like already. You know, I'd seen him a lot before, and he's a legend of the sport. I mean, 6 times champion, it doesn't come easily at all. And you could tell that he wasn't quite in a rhythm and he wasn't happy with the performances that they were having. And now, just now as well, nearly 2 years after I've started commentating and following it more intensely, you can just about see now that he's getting the confidence back in the truck, but he still knows, and as you know by interviewing him so often, that he's very not narrow-minded, he's very neutral-minded. So he looks at the bigger picture and he can tell that Norbert is that extra step ahead of everybody. They've just got to try and find out how to catch up with him. But Jochen is a lot more confident than he was, and the word evolve is definitely the right way to go about it.
Also, Sascha Lenz, which he improved his English skills. Compliment for that, because as we started talking, he was really a bit afraid of all those interviews in English right now. But he's a pro, and also a pro, of course, on the racetrack. So his performance throughout the season is very, very solid too.
Yeah, he's had a bit of a tough couple of meetings though. He's always been second fiddle to Norbert Kiss, but in the last couple of meetings, he's had the odd issues and failures and accidents and so on. And he's dropped behind Jochen Hahn in the championship. And it's not something we've seen him do before for a long, long time. And I think that's helping Jochen's confidence as well. But the two of them are just going head-to-head now just to be best of the rest. And I think that it's going to be a great final few meetings to see the points change, because even last time out, the points were up and down so many times over the course of the weekend between the pair of them. It's still all to play for at least second place anyway.
Absolutely. As I said, it's crunch time right now here in Le Mans, the penultimate round. We're going to see the qualifying. No truck still here. This is why you can have a chat with me here. So relax right now. I mean, this view of this grandstand, we talked about it, is absolutely spectacular. We're going to see the Great Truck Festival. What are you looking forward this weekend, of course, besides commentating this really, really fantastic championship?
To be honest, I'm just really looking forward to seeing the show trucks. When we had the show at the Nürburgring a few weeks ago, it's just amazing. And the effort and time that goes into these show trucks that people bring out, there's constantly horns sounding all around the circuit all weekend, and you just tune out of it eventually, because it's like white noise. Well, I'm really excited to see the show trucks, but yeah, to be here even just to see it from this vantage point, it's a legendary circuit. And I mean, the amount of amazing races that have gone on just on this piece of tarmac in front of us, it's incredible. So it's nice to see that everyone can enjoy it in many different ways, not just the racing machines that we've got. Absolutely.
So I'm asking our director, how many times do we got until we need to get Chaz up to his space? I think 1 more minute it is. So great. So this year we are back here at 21. We have seen lots and lots of action. Adam Lachko is the birthday boy of today, so congratulations to him. And he also is part of the top league in this championship. 2020 it was cancelled here, and so we're very, very happy to be back to normal. So what Adam Lachko is for me, he always brings his family. It's a really fine character, but also still he's always got a smile on his face interviewing him. So, but does he keep his smiling throughout the races?
Well, Adam's one of those interesting characters, because when he's properly focused and he's really in the rhythm, he can look like quite a menacing guy, and you think, I'm not going to mess with him, I'm not even going to bother asking him how he's doing. But he is a really happy and lovely bloke. You know, he's such a good lad to have around the paddock, and I think he really enjoys this circuit as well. You know, I think he takes a bit of inspiration from Theo and how much he knows around here, and it's all about experience with a circuit like this, because there's so many tough corners, especially the last few corners. I was stood with Alice, who's doing a lot of the communications this weekend, and we were watching them come out of the final corner, and with the damp surface that we've got, it's drying out slightly, but it's still very greasy, and the curbs are still very slippery, and they're a real tough bit to negotiate, especially in the back part of the circuit, because so much of it is down to just clipping the curbs a little bit and just getting whatever run you can and use as much of the circuit as you can. There's a lot of concrete runoff on the Bigay circuit, so I think the drivers have got a lot to think about. There's a lot of elevation changes at the start of the lap as well, so it's going to be an interesting session, but honestly I think maybe a bit of home pride for Theo Calve is going to inspire him.
So I do see the trucks arriving, so I think maybe you can go with Luis, our second cameraman, to go up to your space then. Have fun, Chaz. See you later, see you soon. So, and right now he needs to run in 1 minute because I've got 1 minute left for you. But let's have a look from up here, from the stands, to see the lineup of the trucks. Usually the lineup is like this, the stands in the championship, and this is how they drive out through the qualification. Then it's first the qualifying, and then it's the Super Pole. So we do see how the teams have prepared for this race weekend right now. And as I mentioned also, Chaz mentioned, it has been raining a lot yesterday evening, so the surface is almost drying, but you can see it until from up here, the dark spaces. So as you will see, it is a bit difficult for them to ride on this special track in Le Mans. But of course, everyone is so excited being back here. As I said, cancelled 2020 and then 2021, and so now we are finally back here. Where do you see Jamie Anderson lining up in his like blue and black Anderson commercial truck? So very nice to see this perspective. Normally I'm down there and I'm going to be down there, but not until Chaz Reichert is in his racing seat ready to commentate on that. We do already know that Norbert Kirsch, he is always really good at the tactics, because as you know, or might not know, the qualifying time gets deleted after the Super Pole. So what he is going to need is a time to be in the first 10 and then competing in Super Pole and giving it best out of the truck. So, and he's always there for a really quick round. So the stands are getting fuller and fuller. We've got 6 live events for you this race weekend. I've here the director. See, again, please, is he there? Is Mr. Chaz Reichert in his racing seat? He's there, so absolutely great. So you made it in like, I don't know, a good round. So have fun there, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. And of course, we do greet also Joachim Eberts, our German commentator. As you know, he's also there every time for us. Really great lad. Ebi, salute.
Yes, hello everybody, hello indeed. Welcome to Circuit de la Sarthe, or the Le Mans Bugatti circuit as it is this weekend. Chaz Reichert here in the commentary box, and honestly, I mean it, that is the steepest grandstand I have ever sat in my entire life. It is very, very steep indeed. Hope you're all doing well this wonderful weekend. It's great to be at this legendary track, and honestly, it's just amazing to be here in person. We've raced here a lot before in the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship, but I'm very lucky to be here on site with the series once again. It's been interesting weather so far this weekend. It was very gloomy yesterday, and there was not really much in the way of sunshine. It wasn't really raining that much, maybe a little bit just towards the evening. And then today has just been about it drying up throughout the day, and the drivers will be hoping that the conditions get better and better as it goes on. So we look now at everybody just making their way around initially to get their laps all started. Get everything up to temperature, get the tyres just right, scrub off that initial layer that they would like to get rid of. We have a new driver on the grid as well for this weekend, which is a Mr. John Newell, who races in the British Truck Racing Championship. He made a return to the British Truck Racing Championship a few years ago and has quite a decent number of wins actually in the series. I believe in the last few years he's got at least 4 wins and nearly 20 podium appearances in the top division as well. The British Truck Racing Championship is one of a few around the world that have Division 1 and Division 2 racing trucks, so it's almost like a Class A and Class B.
Andreas, höre dich.
Based on certain components and things that are available. Here we see Jochen Hahn ahead of Sasha Lenz, and then Adam Lachko just behind him, the birthday boy himself. 38 years old today is Adam. Now, somebody I don't see on the timing screen is actually Norbert Kirsch. For some reason, I cannot see him making his way around at the moment, which is a rather interesting development. Normally, he's the one at the front of the train, based on it being in championship order.
La chasse au millième de seconde commence avec la séance chrono pour le Goodyear FIA championnat d'Europe camion.
Et le premier tour de référence devrait être signé par l'Iveco numéro.
Now we just wait now and see them making their way through the final chicane. Very tough final chicane as well, actually. More of a hairpin really, but it's basically the Ford chicane, the legendary Ford chicane at the end of the 24-hour circuit.
and across the line. There's a first little right-hander into it that's not quite 90 degrees, and it's a bit of a challenge for the drivers to get it slowed down because they come from a very fast left-hander and have to manage all of the weight transfer and be very careful not to just snatch a brake and throw the truck one way then the other. This is another place on the circuit where they have to be careful of that as well, which is the first chicane on the lap. Going up the hill, sweeping around the right-hander, then they have to just make sure that the truck is stable enough to slam on the brakes and get it stopped nice and tidy before then flicking it to the left and then throw it over the right over the crest of the hill. Jochen Hahn, the first truck around, hits one of the penalty markers very hard indeed and already inflicts damage on that poor bit of kit, which now means that it's not quite out of commission for the day, but it's certainly needing repair. You will see the penalty markers go flying over the course of the weekend, though. If you haven't watched the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship before, you won't have seen that we have these, I think they're almost about 4 or 5 feet, these penalty markers, which are used as a very clear indication of the track limits around here. There's no little hidden cameras or anything that just give us pictures of the drivers getting near track limits. We have these humongous bollards that they can hit. They don't cause any damage to the trucks. As far as I know, they're a sort of foam composite or almost very soft plastic. And they actually sometimes get inflated at certain circuits, which is quite interesting. They blow a lot of very cold air up through the middle of them. And that's how they manage to get hit so many times and then pop back up again. So looking at the sector times, we've got a purple sector 1 from Jamie Anderson at 1:58, sorry, just 58.9 seconds. Jamie's actually a good 0.3 faster than anybody else. Sector 2, purple sector, is by Sasha Lenz. He's done a 36.1 in that middle sector, and he's got a good 2 or 3 tenths on everybody there as well. But round the final corner for the first time comes Jochen Hahn. He's going to put a time on the board, and we can see exactly what his pace is. It's a 2:09.581. And absolutely decimating that time is Sasha Lenz, as you will see on the left-hand side shortly. Fantastic times by Sasha Lenz there, 2:07.732. Where's Jamie Anderson going to be in this? 3rd place. Fastest Promoters Cup driver across the line at the moment. However, we have to wait for the others to all make their way through. He's the only one, actually, in the Promoters Cup. There's Teo Calve's initial time, which comes through at a 2:08.588. Stefan Fast and Shane Brereton also putting in times from the Promoters Cup. John Newell puts his first time on the board, and it's a 2:11.5. He's just faster than Heinrich Clemens Hecker, who's on a 2:11.7. And Norbert Kish has actually shown up on the timing screens now at this end, so he's made his way back out onto the circuit. So we'll have to now see how he can slot into traffic and what sort of times he can do. There's John Newell just making his way around the long right-hander at the bottom of the hill. As mentioned, he's been racing previously in the British Truck Racing Championship. He's not quite completed his season in the championship yet, but he's been having a pretty good run this year as well. In the last couple of years, like I said, he's had a few race wins outright and some podiums to go with it. It's a very beautifully prepared race truck, the number 18 machine, NWT Motorsport. Always looks very, very good with that metallic blue all down the side. And there you can see Teo Calve with Shane Brereton and Stefan Fast behind him on the circuit. It's not really the sort of championship where slipstream becomes very important. Norbert Kish has just gone flying past my commentary box now. I'm grateful enough to be on the start-finish straight here at Circuit de la Sarthe with one of the commentary boxes to myself, so I can see pretty much all the way down the start-finish straight. And as they come out of the final corner and cross the line, there is Norbert Kish into the first chicane. Known, of course, as the Dunlop chicane. We've got Virage Chapelle at the bottom of the hill here. Or Virage de la Chapelle, I should say. And then the next one is Virage des Musées. Norbert really throwing the back end out of his number 1 MAN. As Christina rightly pointed out earlier, it's called Baloo. You see its name just above the windscreen on the front of the truck as well. Look at that as Norby kicks it up a gear. The back end tries to scramble for traction out of Virage de Musée. And this corner now, double apex right-hander is called Garage Vert. We've then got Chemin aux Buffs, which is the next chicane, one of my favourite corners in motorsport, actually, the following chicane. They get a huge run up over the crest. You'll see it in just a moment. They fly towards us underneath the bridge, and then they go through the left-right section very quickly indeed. It looks like a tight little chicane when you actually see it trackside, but then you realise how much it opens up on the exit, and you can see just how fast they can carry all of the weight of these 5-ton machines through the exit. This is our camera down at Garage Vert. And into the pits is quite an interesting character for this weekend, actually. Jose Rodriguez is racing in the number 14 machine, but it's not the number 14 machine that we're used to seeing. His son Jose Eduardo is there. He's racing in the French Truck Racing Championship, which is joining us in the paddock for this weekend. Now, the truck itself is actually Jose Eduardo's usual truck, and Jose's usual truck, his father, is actually racing in the French Championship. So they've basically swapped trucks for the weekend, so it's a slightly different design to what we'd normally see, and it's interesting to see if there is any pace difference in their respective championships between the two of them. So with about 10 minutes of this session left to go, you see there are a number of trucks all sat in the pit lane. They've done the times that they wanted to do, they're happy with the times they've done, and they want to just make sure that they can maintain everything now in the pit lane, look after the trucks, not put them through any unnecessary stress, and then go back out. We've got Theo Calve and Andre Kurzim in the pits. Shane Brereton currently is the 10th place driver that will be going through into Superpole. So far we're on to lose this man here, Jose Rodriguez, Stefan Fast, John Newell and Heinrich Clemens Hecker. Steffi Halm is across the line. Antonio Alberthetti also across the line. He's just put another time on the board. He's actually second fastest at the moment, is Antonio Alberthetti. He had a great battle here last season with Norbert Kish, and an interview that I will never forget with a slight expletive in it. It was very funny, I must admit. But Antonio going well. And I mentioned Andre Kurzim a moment ago, who is still in the pit lane, and he's down there with Christina.
Yes, he had a third place in Belgium with Don't Touch Racing, and he won in Le Mans last year. P9 it is, qualifying. Are you hoping to get in Superpole, of course? Are you right now gambling, or will you give it a go for another fast lap?
No, I think top 10 is possible for us now. Position 9 for the moment, and the driver behind me are, I think, a second slower than me. And yes, now we will wait.
Thank you very much, Andre. And we do not wait. We go back on track with you, Chaz.
Thank you very much, Christina. We see here one of the Bagheera Freightliners just sat in the pit lane, and that, of course, is either Theo Calve or Adam Lachko. Didn't quite see the coloured highlights on it, which is usually their giveaway. There's Jochen Hahn with Sasha Lenz and Jamie Anderson behind. And there is John Newell, number 18, the NWT machine. He's got Heinrich Clemens Hecker behind him on track. John so far has a best time of 2 minutes 11.4. And he's currently a good 0.8 of a second off of Heinrich Clemens Hecker in front of him. He did 2 personal best sectors on that last lap though, but Heinrich Clemens Hecker was much quicker in the final sector to 2 minutes 10.609. Now we're looking down the timing screens here, or at least I am anyway, and I'm just trying to figure out if anybody's had any sort of standout sectors that could help propel them a little bit further up if they put the rest of the lap together. And we actually go down very quickly to the birthday boy. Adam Lachko's with Christina.
Absolutely. Happy birthday, Adam Lachko. But you're the one who can bring a present for yourself. Are you hoping to give yourself a present?
Yeah, thank you very much, and I hope also. So now we are in the qualifying. I'm on the 5th position in the moment, and I hope on the Superpole I do something better for me.
What is the problem for you right now?
Now I only do 1 lap, and we will see how we finish.
All right, thank you very much. Have a good birthday.
Happy birthday indeed, Adam Lachko. Hopefully he can get the results that he wants across the weekend. And we've seen before that he and the Bagheera ZM Racing Freightliners go very well around this circuit. It's one of the couple of circuits on the calendar that really suit them in the layout of their trucks. Their engines are right underneath the cab, but they of course have that sort of long nose layout for them. Now I'm told that Norbert Kish was being investigated for track limits a moment ago, same with Jamie Anderson and Shane Brereton, but neither of them, or none of them I should say, have had any action taken against them, so no further action in all cases. Heinrich Clemens-Hecker here making his way up past turn 1, the Dunlop curve, into the Dunlop chicane. And this is Stefan Faas coming into Virage des Musées. You can see the steam there coming off the inside of the cab down to the water-cooled brakes. Norbert Kish is in the pit lane though with Christina, I've just been told.
Absolutely, we are in the crunch time of this year's championship. How do you go into this weekend? Full speed and yes, going to take the victory.
Yeah, you know, we do everything the same way like we do in every weekend. Try to prepare the best we can in the free practices. Try to find the best setup we can. And, you know, do the best. Try to win the qualifying, try to get the pole position and try to win the race, you know. And, you know, we just treat it like any other weekend. But we know we are very close, but still not there.
Absolutely not full focus. The track has been very wet to rain last night. Is it drying quick, fast, or is it still a bit wet?
Yeah, it was quite wet in the morning in the free practice, and then the second free practice was a little bit better. But now it's almost completely dry. So the lap times are very close to last year's lap time. So yeah, you know, looking nice, looking good.
Thank you very much. Good luck then. So that was Insight's perspective from Norbert Kish and his Baloo.
Thank you very much, Christina. Yes, indeed. It's always good to get the word from Norby. And as we often know, he's very often at the top at these qualifying sessions. So it's good to get his insight and see just what the conditions are like from the fastest man out there. He's been very difficult to beat this season and last season. And to be honest, there's not much sign of that changing. Antonio Albertetti in second place, though. He'll be really happy with that for now. Steffi Halm up in fourth place as well. Now, obviously, these are not the final times. For anybody that's inside the top 10, they will have another 10-minute session soon, which will decide their final positions. The only final positions that will be basically determined by this will be the ones that finish outside of the top 10. Here is Jose Rodriguez, just missing the penalty marker at the final corner. Very close indeed right there. And you can see everybody pretty much now sat inside the pit lane. You can hear one of the truck horns in the background if you listen closely. It goes on all weekend at these race meetings. It's amazing, all the show trucks that you get to see. They are phenomenal bits of kit and there's so much money spent on them. You have to admire them. And these racing trucks are beautifully prepared as well. Shane Brereton goes around the outside of Heinrich Clemens-Hecker. I had a long old chat with Shane Brereton yesterday, and we had a good laugh, to be honest with you. I didn't often catch up with Shane over the last couple of times I've actually been out to these race meetings this season at the Hungaroring and the Nürburgring. But he's a lovely bloke, is Shane. Heinrich Clemens-Hecker behind him. Not a man of many words, but certainly leaves his talking till he gets onto the racetrack. He's had some pretty impressive results this season compared to previous campaigns that he's had. There have been a few times where he's been very under the radar, it has to be said, but he's been trying to turn that round again this season in his gorgeous Scania in this dark red colour scheme with the Heinrich Hecker KG logo along the top. And these big lovely white strikes down the side of it, really highlighting the shape of the Scania. It's a lot more of a very square, boxy shape than the MAN, which has a lot more sort of rounded edges on it. We've had a time deleted for Jose Rodriguez, actually, for hitting one of the penalty markers. So looks like he's actually still down there. There it is, confirmed at the top of your screen. He's down there in 12th position at the moment. Not exactly what he would have wanted at all. Shane Brereton across the line, pushing hard to try and improve his time back into the top 10 now that Stefan Faas has knocked him down a peg. Over the Dunlop Bridge, or well, not over the Dunlop Bridge. That'd be quite impressive. Under the Dunlop Bridge he goes, down into the long sweeping right-hander down at Virage de la Chapelle. It's great to see them accelerate out of the right-hander there. It's very impressive how quickly they get back up to speed. And even there at Virage de Musée, the way that they pick up is just amazing. If you honestly, I know I say it a lot, but if you haven't been to watch truck racing in person, I implore you to do so. Because when you see one of these 5-ton beasts absolutely punch their way out of a corner and accelerate up to 100 miles an hour, 160 kilometers an hour, to which they are limited, you will not believe your eyes. I'm actually quite excited for November when the British Truck Racing Championship reaches its finale. I'll be at Brands Hatch commentating on the day's action there for their last race meeting, where they have a big fireworks display. And it's actually going to be the first time that my old man joins me at a race meeting where I'm commentating on the trucks, and it's going to be his first experience of truck racing as well. So I'm super excited to see just what he thinks of it, because the reaction that I've seen from many people that I've shown and seen with truck racing going on in person, it's quite remarkable. Here we see the Tank Pool 24 racing guys just changing the tyre pressures on Stefan Faast's machine. Here comes Shane Burton out the final corner, and the checkered flag is going to get waved now, and that is going to be it. So truck 18 as well, John Newell getting a lap time deleted. Shane Burton did a 209.537 on that lap. He did his that's his best time. His last lap was a 209.8. He did his best final sector, a 33.254, but he has not beaten his best time. I think he might have just cleared the line in time, you know, to get one more lap in, and that's why he's pushing so hard into the first corner. John Newell has crossed the line. He's improved on his lap time. It's a 211.433, but none of his sectors were better than any others. He just made a sort of general improvement over the course of the lap. We still have the 4 drivers outside of the top 10 out on track: Shane Burton, Jose Rodriguez, Heinrich Clementecker and John Newell. John Newell has now completed the session though. And there you can hear Baby Shark, as we all have all weekend, and it's only Saturday morning. There's a lot of Sasha Lenz's team all waiting nearby. The wonderful Sparco boots there of Teo Calve. When we were here actually last year at Le Mans, he was not racing with us in the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. He was actually racing in the French Truck Racing Championship, because he claimed the title here last year in that series, not long after finishing and completing all of his exams as well. So it was a fantastic week for Teo Calve. Here's a little look at Heinrich Clemens Hecker, and you can see there the steam that I mentioned earlier coming off of the brakes. Now these drivers have control over water jets that cool the brakes down actively, and when they come out of the corners you see all this steam piling off them, and I can guarantee you that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with the truck. Just means that it's operating as normally. Now we had a quick look at Stefan Faas not long ago. We're going to have another one now as he's down there having a chat with Christina.
Absolutely. We were looking at the time monitor, Stefan. Seems like you're in Super Pole. He's concentrating. He's focusing right now and concentrating. We do respect that, of course. So it seems like Shane Brereton cannot kick him out on the Super Pole P number 10. We will be waiting here, maybe hearing him soon. Back to you, Chaz.
Thank you very much, Christina. Yes, when it is the final few moments of a session, the drivers can get a little bit nervous, just checking to see who crosses the line and when, and whether they make it work or not. And I think Shane Burton he's done a 209.845 last time round, and I'm pretty sure that he isn't going to improve on that. I think Heinrich Clemens Hecker could potentially be the one to finish the session now by crossing the line. I'm just keeping my eye out to see whether he's coming through. No, it seems like he's still on his way into the pits. So too is this man here that we look at, John Newell. Unfortunately, finishing his first qualifying session in the championship down at the bottom in 14th place. But I'm sure that he'll be fighting hard through the races. He's a good old fighter, is John Newell. He doesn't mess about. And I'm excited to see what he can bring to the grid and what sort of fights he can get in near the tail end of the field in the opening race. Now, the floor has just started shaking underneath the commentary box here at Le Mans, so I can tell you that there's definitely trucks on the move down the pit lane. You can see there it's Heinrich Clemens-Hecker, who always seems to have the brightest headlights in the world on that truck. He's going to make his way to that wall of these wonderful people, the marshals. Wall of orange-clad marshals at the end of the pit lane, and then he will turn into the paddock from there. There you get an idea of just how big those bollards were, actually, with that marshal carrying one there on the way back to whichever marshal's post they may be at. And everyone will now prepare and line up at the end of the pit lane. Let's get ready for the Super Pole session. Now, this will be organised in terms of the lap times they did in that session there. So we will have Norbert Kish at the very front of it. And there is that bollard once again. Just huge, huge bollards, considering how easily they get knocked over and smacked out of the way and bent in half. It makes you realise just how powerful and how heavy these racing trucks are. But we always thank our marshals. We really do appreciate each and every one of them that comes out on racing weekends and does their job around the circuit, because at the end of the day, without them, we would not be able to go racing in the way that we do, and we would not be able to go racing in as safe a fashion as we always get to. So there you see the legendary, and I mean legendary, gantry over the top there with the Michelin branding on it as well, and the humongous grandstands. Now, the grandstand on the left, you can see a number of the big shiny window panels along that building. I'm basically in the final sort of furthest slot of those windows that you can see, just posted there above where the start finish line is. Green flags in the air then, and Super Pole gets underway for the first time this weekend here at Le Mans. And we have Norbert Kish leading out Antonio Albertetti, Sascha Lenz and Steffi Halm. I'll be intrigued to see if Antonio and Steffi in particular can hold their ground up there inside the top 5 positions at least. And everybody gets back underway at full chat. Norbert Kish looking to make it another pole position for this season. He's currently got 11. The only pole position he did not take was at the Nürburgring in race 3, where he was kicked out of the session for a lambda sensor issue. Basically meaning it was along the lines of the black smoke rule which we have in the championship. So any emissions that are considered harmful or not sticking with the sustainability that the championship works so hard to maintain, then it basically... Hello, Andre Kurzim, that was very sideways. It basically means that they will be kicked out of the session for a moment. And there is Antonio Albertetti heating up the rears as well. The Spaniard very excited to head back to Jarama for his home race at the end of the season. I'm super excited to be there in person as well. I can't wait for that final race meeting of the year. But let's not skim over this one at all, because Le Mans has always been a great location for these trucks. As I mentioned with Christina during our interview earlier, it is actually a motorbike racing circuit, so a lot of it is designed around the fact that there's only going to be bikes here. I mean, look at the width of the track here as they come towards us at my favourite famous chicane, Chemin-aux-Boeufs. Great piece of circuit as they go under the bridge, hard onto the brakes. And it's a very, very fast chicane. We will see people making moves down the inside there, maybe a little bit of contact here and there. But that's just what happens sometimes when you have 5-ton racing machines side by side. There's Jamie Anderson, number 33. A big repair job for them after Zolder, after that humongous hit to the right-hand side of his truck. Now, I've seen lots of different bits of footage of it, and to be honest with you, it's amazing that the truck wasn't in worse shape considering what we saw. You know, it was absolutely nuts, because it didn't really look like he'd had much contact and gone off the road very dramatically from our initial pictures, but he'd had a very, very hard whack into the wall. Apparently actually moved the wall as well, which Zolder have had to repair since the race meeting. It's pretty incredible, to be honest with you, but it shows you again just the colossal size of these beasts that we watch racing week in, week out. So Norbert Kish has come across the line up through the Dunlop curve now. 100 miles an hour up through there in these trucks. They are limited to 160, or they're governed to 160 kilometers an hour. So they can exceed 100 miles an hour. Part of the art form of racing these trucks is the fact that you have to remain under that speed limit. If not, you get a telling off. You do get warnings for overspeeding, and then you get investigated for it, and then you can get time penalties added onto your overall race time from there. There goes Antonio Albacete, very close to those penalty markers, but importantly not hitting them. Turns in quite early to Virage de Musée, lets the truck run out quite wide, and uses all of the road on the exit. Look at that, just about staying inside the white lines with those 2 left-hand wheels, or at least 3 left-hand wheels, because they have 4 on the rear end of these trucks. That's why when they often get rear punctures from contact, they can actually carry on at almost full racing speed. The outside tyre is punctured, and so long as the inside rear tyre is okay. Norbert Kish has a purple Sector 1 at the moment at 58.2. He's 7 tenths quicker than Antonio Albacete just in the first sector. What's everybody else doing? A 58.6 for Jamie Anderson. He's actually the second fastest at the moment in Sector 1. So Jamie clearly has something going on there. He's doing a really good job. 35.7 for Norbert Kish in Sector 2. Half a second clear of Albacete. 3 tenths clear of Sasha Lenz. He's half a second clear of Steffi Halm as well. Adam Lachko does a 36.4. 7 tenths difference between the two of them there. Jochen Hahn 36.0. Jamie Anderson 36.1. It's very close in the second sector, you know. Norbert Kish, the only driver to go faster than 36 seconds in the middle sector, but everybody else is in the 36s. It's a 2:05.872 for Norbert Kish, which puts him on provisional pole position. 1.3 seconds clear of Sasha Lenz, 1.7 clear of Antonio Albacete. It's a fantastic lap by Norbert Kish. Adam Lachko does a 2:08.0. Not the best time from him at all. 2.1 seconds off. Jamie Anderson goes 5th fastest. Teo Calve just behind Jamie there. Only 13 thousandths of a second between Teo Calve and Jamie Anderson. 14 thousandths between Antonio Albacete in 3rd and Jochen Hahn in 4th as well. It's very, very close between some of these guys. Steffi Halm did a 2:07.915. She's just over 2 seconds off, but that man there, Norbert Kish, really setting the benchmark there. 1.3 seconds ahead of anybody else during this qualifying session so far. It's very, very impressive, isn't it? Just going to try and find what the previous lap record was, because obviously these aren't ideal conditions for these drivers, because it's a very, very twisty circuit with a lot of start-stop sections, and it's greasy as well out there at the moment. So I'm just trying to see. I can't seem to find the lap record for the trucks around here, unfortunately. There is apparently a 24-hour cycling race lap record around here, which seems a bit bonkers, doesn't it? Apparently the cycling lap record, for anyone that's interested, is 5 minutes 11 seconds in 2017. And somebody called Stevenart Evans set a solo distance record in the 24-hour race, travelled 950 kilometres in 2017, which constitutes a world record. So you learn something new every day. Unfortunately, what we learned was not the current lap record around this circuit in a racing truck. Here's Jamie Anderson, just coming to the end of his lap. We get a wonderful view inside the cabin and that very distinct blue roll cage. He heads out of the final corner. A lot of them have been short shifting around there, because if you just keep it in second gear and you floor it, the traction just disappears completely. and it's very hard to get the power down, especially with the big long run around the long Dunlop curve. Jamie still trying to improve, of course, after having a time taken off the board. He was only 13 thousandths faster than Teo Calve, so he needs to make sure that he can repeat the time that he set earlier on, with the Anderson commercials branding all over the truck. Big black and blue machine. Hopefully doesn't get knocked about and black and blue this weekend. He's had a couple of race meetings with a lot of, as Christina rightly pointed out, I call argy-bargy over the last few weeks. And there you see Garage Vert, which is the double right-hander, before they go on to the back straight. And apparently there is a track record, actually. Thank you to Sean O'Brien at Smart Witness. Great to have Smart Witness with us this weekend. They're the wonderful people that provide all of the onboard cameras for our trucks, which are used for judicial reviews. I can still never say that right, I'm sorry everybody. But they are used for judicial reviews, whether it be by the stewards and the officials or anybody else, just to have a good look, to be honest with you. They provide fantastic footage from on board, from every truck, and they are not just useful here in the racing side of things, but of course in industry as well. There goes Antonio Alberthetti out the final corner. Third place at the moment to Sascha Lenz and Norbert Kisch. He's done 3 personal best sectors, and he just misses out on beating Sascha Lenz, because Sascha's done a 206.801. He's improved sector 2 and sector 3. Alberthetti does sectors 3 and 4, and look at that by Jamie Anderson, 4th position. 207.328 was his lap time. Fantastic lap that. 1.4 seconds off the top spot, second row of the grid, and he's ahead of that man there, Jochen Hahn, and Adam Lachko comes into shot sideways. What can Jochen Hahn do to improve? There you go, he goes back into 4th place. Truck 4, P4, and then Adam Lachko knocks him down a peg as well. Very, very close. Amazing stuff. So Lachko does a 207.210, 207.226 for Jochen Hahn. Jamie Anderson still 6th place, ahead of Teo Calve. There's Steffi Halm pushing a little bit hard into the long left-hander at Virage du Musée. And then hard onto the power again, down towards Garage Vet. And we're going to go back down to Christina, who has another interview for us, potentially.
Yes, absolutely. We're going to present you, for us, new faces, but of course he's well known in the British Championship. John Newell, hi, good to see you here at the Le Mans track. What would friends say about you? Who are you?
I run an engineering company, and after that, just truck racing. It's brilliant. Great to be here.
Absolutely. The paddock is great, the fans are great, and also the track Le Mans. I mean, it's very prestigious. How was it riding on this track and under some circumstances which are very interesting, because yesterday it was raining a lot and the track was trying. How was it for you?
Yeah, it was good. It's just learning for me. First time I've been to the track properly, so it's just a learning curve. We're doing Le Mans and then Arama, and we just keep pressing and pressing, and gradually we'll get quicker.
What do you say, which aspects are interesting about your truck?
It's a new build truck last year. Stefan Onins built it. It's same as what they've got at the front, so it's just basically track time for me to get better, learning in the circuits as we go on.
Thank you very much. This is John Newell, everyone.
Thank you very much.
So, Chaz, you already knew him, of course, you told me so, and we are very interested right now about the final results on the Super Pole. I heard Norbert Kisch, of course, taking the lead again, and then?
Yeah, Norby put in an amazing time indeed. 205.872, nearly an entire second faster than Sascha Lenz. Antonio Alberthetti gets a fantastic 3rd position ahead of Adam Lachko in 4th, and then Jochen Hahn next up. Jamie Anderson, though, I believe had his time removed again for penalty markers, so he's had 2 of his best times deleted, and Jamie will start 10th on the grid after that fantastic effort that put him just ahead of Teo Calve. Teo on home soil will be the highest placed Promoters Cup driver in the field. Shane Brereton was outside of the top 10 with Jose Rodriguez, Heinrich Clemens Hecker and John Newell, who we spoke to just there. And it is great to see John on the grid. It's always good to see drivers that I've been following in the British Truck Racing Championship making the jump over to the European Series. And a number of them do say the same thing, that the level is just on another level. It's really amazing the pace that the guys in the European Series have. But it's just great to see that the British drivers can make the jump across. And because the kit isn't too different either, in a lot of championships around the world, if you have a national series of something, regardless of whether it's touring cars, GT cars, or even open wheel machines and formula cars, if you then make a jump from a national series into a European championship, it's very often that you would have to change the car you've got, get a new one, or make adjustments to it, or change certain components. But in truck racing, that is not the case. Norbert Kish takes it again then. Trucks 1 and 2 on the front row with Sasha Lenz joining him, Antonio Alberthetti and Adam Lachko on row 2. Then it's Jochen Hahn and Theo Calve making up row 3, meaning the two Bagheera ZM Racing Freightliners will be on the same side of the grid. Stephanie Halm is just behind Andre Kursim, 7th and 8th for those two, and Stefan Faas makes it ahead of Jamie Anderson in that session in the Promoters Cup. Important stuff that for Theo Calve in the championship as well, especially considering that Shane Brereton was outside of the top 10 ahead of Jose Rodriguez. Then it is Heinrich Clemens-Hecker, and John Newell will make his debut in the championship from the back of the grid, but at the end of the day, it can only get better from there. You see everybody getting guided around now into the pit lane, and you can see that we will be back with you very soon. And the next live stream for the first race, as mentioned, will start at 20 to 3 local time, with the second race of the weekend at 25 past 5. But that's all from me for now. Chaz Drake up here in the commentary box, and my wonderful colleague Joachim Eberts, who's doing the German commentary as well. But I'm going to hand back down to Christina now for some final words.
Thank you both guys, our commentators, and we're here at Shane Brereton, and as you can see, lots of fans waiting for an autograph. He might not be so happy with the results, as you've mentioned, Chaz, dropping out of the Super Pole, but of course the fans are very happy to see all the drivers here back. We do see each other at 14:40, as you mentioned. What a great time to be back ahead of race number 1. There will be our live stream. It's Steffi Harm right now. Oh, she does not need a ladder. It's just a quick jump. And so we do say bye-bye, see you then. This was the last impression from the paddock here, and good to be back here at Le Mans. Le weekend has just started.